This is super awkward, but it's my first tutorial ever, and I hope I don't make a fool of myself. So this is the second week of the grid-based assignment, and I hope you guys have managed to make your grid, to design the grid in Adobe Illustrator in the right format. So firstly, I'm gonna get into Illustrator and then check my file and see if it's all ready to be brought into After Effects. If everything is okay. So So the main thing that we need to concern ourselves with in Illustrator is whether all our squares are on different layers. So the assignment was to design a 4x4 grid using 5 colors and to populate the grid with patterns. 8 out of 16 squares should have patterns on them. So this is basically what I needed you guys to do, just to have 16 squares in 16 separate layers labeled neatly. So A1, A2, A3, A4, B1, B2, B3, B4, etc. And the way to check if what's on a layer is just to click on this little circle over here, and it tells me, it shows me what's up, or yeah, and then V. And I can also check my size and stuff like that over here. So there again, I can see A2 is fine, A3 is fine. And if you scroll down, you see the layer contents. You can see that everything is clearly marked over here. And for a reference layer, I have everything duplicated on a pattern. So this is just a reference. I'm not going to recreate this exactly in After Effects. I'm just going to use this as a reference. So let me save this and then open up After Effects. Just one thing for the ANIM thing, like I have all my assets in a file, a folder structure that is easy to understand. So for the first assignment, I have a folder for After Effects, Illustrator, and then renders. So I'm gonna go to my Illustrator file, take the latest version, and import that. Now when I import my any file like this, it asks me, do I want to bring it in as footage or as a composition? Footage would kind of compress, would flatten everything into one footage layer, would treat it as just one layer, which I know I don't want for sure. I want to be able to access every single part of my file. So I'm going to choose composition. But even within composition, there's two options. One is layer size and the other one is document size. If I bring it in document size, every single layer will be the entire size of the document, which in this case is 2000 by 2000 pixels. Now I don't want, so like A1 and A2 and etc. would all be 2000 by 2000, which I don't want. I want each of those layers to be 500 by 5, the actual layer size of each of those squares, which is what it allows you to do if you bring it in at layer size. So I'm going to do that and do OK. Whenever you do that, whenever you import a composition, it imports two things. One is the composition itself, which is shown by this icon over here, like a film strip and some shapes, and a folder with the assets in it. So I'm just going to move this a bit. So you can see that if I twirl this down, each and every layer has been brought in as, it shows you a little preview over here, it's been brought in as a separate AI file in there. So I'm just going to double click on my composition and voila, we see all pretty much exactly how it was in Illustrator. My pattern reference on top, and these layers that have been switched off. So I'm just going to switch this off and check each of my layers. You can see that it's all okay so far, so good. So first things first, I'm just going to check my composition settings, which is Command K if you're using a Mac or Control K if you're using a PC. And that basically allows me to rename the file. So I'm just going to, the composition. So I'm going to do grid animation 01. And it's 2000 by 2000, correct. Lock pixels, 24 frames a second, very good. Square pixels, what we want. And it's a minute. It's so frames, seconds, minutes, hours. So yeah, it's 1 minute long. It's way longer than we need, which is good. So here we have it. We have a 1 minute timeline, but what we need to have is a 4-second timeline. So the first thing to do is to block off our time, like our work area. So this area is the section that After Effects concerns itself rendering with. So whatever is in this bracket is what After Effects will try to render. Everything outside of it, it doesn't concern itself. So the first thing we need to do is block out our 4-second chunk, which now this is the beginning of the 4th second. So this is over here we have a time code and we can see this is the 4th second. Now for every loop to be a perfect seamless loop, the first frame and the last frame have to be, it has to be seamless, right? So which basically means that the last frame of the loop has to be right before the first frame of the next loop. So if we want a 4-second loop, the last frame should be the one before. So it should be 3 second, 23 frames should be the last frame that it plays, so that when you play the 4th second, which is the same thing as the first 00 second. So these 2 frames should be the exact same, but it should not play the last frame. So what I want to do is I have a 4-second loop in this. So I'm just going to start creating some markers that will help me fly around my timeline very easily. So markers are very useful things, and I would urge you guys to use them as much as possible. So if I just drag this thing from here, it pulls in a marker. I go to my 1st second, pull it another one, second. And what this allows me to do is to move very quickly between these time codes. Right. So now when I press, the amazing thing about markers is that if I press 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5, I go to exactly these places, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So which is super useful in this kind of project, because I know I'll be needing to go to specific parts of the timeline. So now that we've prepped this part, the next thing to do is to start, rearranging our timeline to make it nicer looking. So what I like to do is color code my layers. So this little thing allows you to, this button here allows you to click on it and you can select that. So I'm going to make all my A's red, all my B's yellow, all my C's aqua, and all my D's pink. So already now we have a much more inviting timeline. Things start to make a little more sense, which is good. So now the next thing is to figure out how do we get our colors on. Now After Effects is a little bit, there are ways to get your colors on a more global scale, but it's a bit advanced for me to explain that right now. So I'm going to teach you guys a very simple hack that will help you have your colors at your disposal wherever you want. They're not global colors, but they will be at your disposal. So I'm going to use this, an After Effects effect called CC Toner, which I can, in the effects thing, you can search for effects over here and it just allows you to find it. So I'm going to look for toner, and what toner does in an ideal world, oh, this is a problem now, is kind of, it helps you create things like this, like duotone or tritone, or these are effects that they're colored correction wise, right? It takes your highlights, brights, mids, and you can assign colors to them. But we're now going to use it for what it's supposed to be doing. We're going to turn this effect off, and we're going to rename this thing called color palette 1. And what we're now going to do is just start selecting these colors. And you see, so simply I have these colors at my disposal. If I didn't have them here, I'd have to keep on copy pasting them from Illustrator or from a Word file, which don't have to do. I just have to paste this, and be sure to make sure that this layer, this effect is off over here. So After Effects is not considering this as an, it's not applying this effect because that would be crazy. So now I just copy, paste it wherever I want. So I'm going to turn this layer off. And the other thing is, for this reference layer, if I want to make sure it doesn't render by mistake, you can right click and make it into a guide layer, which is similar to in Flash, where you can make things, it's there visible, but it doesn't render out. So this is an icon for a guide layer. So even if it's on and I send it to a render, it will not render out. Cool. So moving on, let's. The next thing we need to do is to start creating timelines within our timeline, our main. If this is our main timeline, each of these layers have to be a timeline of its own, right? So that's called nested compositions. We need to create nested compositions. So we need to, what it's called in After Effects is pre-comping. We need to pre-comp each layer that we want to animate, have animation inside. So the shortcut for that is Command-Shift-C or Control-Shift-C, or where did it go? Here, right over here, pre-compose. So layer pre-compose. So I'm going to go to A1 and Command-Shift-C. And what that again brings two options up. The first one is leave all attributes in grid animation. So leave all, make it this size, and whatever effects there are, take it in, and move all attributes into the new composition would make this new composition the entire size of this, which we don't want. We want it to be only this. So we're going to leave it in here, and immediately it makes a new composition, which you can see through this icon over here, and it changed the color. So let me just bring it back to red. And now A1 has a timeline inside of it, right? So the first thing we want to do in A1 is to start creating a loop of a 4-second section here. So for the inner loops, I just need two timelines. So two markers, I mean. So I'm just going to do that. Again, I need to make sure the last frame is right before the second number 4. And so yeah, this is a simple way to do that. So the shortcuts for work area are B and N. B is to start work area, N is to end. So I'm going to do that. Now what I want to do is start creating some shapes. Okay, let me start making some circles animate. So I'm just gonna, I'm just gonna make a circle holding shift, and boom, it's made a circle. Now everything that could possibly be wrong with the circle is wrong. It's in the wrong place, the anchor point's off, I don't want a stroke, I want to fill only. So the first thing to do is to fix the anchor point. So it's right click, transform, center anchor point in layer content. Boom, it moves the anchor point right in the middle. It's still not in the middle of the composition, which you can then fix. So if we twirl this down and go to transform properties, we see position. Now we know that this entire composition is 500 by 500 approximately. So I'm going to put it in the middle, 250 by 250. So starting from 0, 0 here, there's 500 pixels this way and 500 pixels this way. So the center point is 250 by 250, correct? So I have my circle right in the middle right now. Now, I don't want a stroke, I want a fill. The properties here are exactly the opposite. There is no fill and there is a stroke. So the first thing I'm going to do is click on the word fill and say I want a solid color. And currently it's on none, no color. So I'm going to make it solid color and click OK. Then I'm going to click on the word stroke and say, which is currently on a solid color, I'm going to say that no color. So now there is no stroke. And so now it looks like there is no thing because it's the same color as this. I might as well just make something random. Right? So now I have a circle with fill. I'm just going to call this red because I know I want to start off with a red circle, even though it's not red. I'm going to paste the color palette on it, which with the effect turned off. The effect has to be turned off. And now in here, I'm going to look for the effect called fill. The effect called fill is different from the fill property. This is basically going to put, if I put this over here, it's just gonna, wherever there is an alpha, like wherever there is something, it's just gonna fill it with one color. So it's a very useful effect if you know how to use it. So then you take your color, your color picker, and you choose the red color that we have. So now I have the color that I want in the right place, named properly. I'm going to turn my background off. I'm going to delete it so that I know that, and this switch will allow me to toggle on and off my opacity right here. So in my red, so what I'm going to do is by zooming in, I'm just going to start creating some keyframes here. In this loop, we'll only explore scale. So the way to do that is press S. So the shortcuts for your transform properties are A for anchor point, P for position, S for scale, R for rotation, and T for opacity. Right? So this one is just scale. So I'm going to press S, go to my first keyframe, click this this stopwatch to say okay, record it here. I go somewhere else in my keyframe, which in my timeline, which I know I want a keyframe in second number 2, which is basically halfway through the loop, and I click on it again. Now there is no change, there is no animation because they're the exact same values. So I go to my first keyframe and dial in 0, and voila, beginning of animation. And this is 100%, except that I want it to fill the screen. I want every thing to fill the screen like that. So now I have my first building block of animation. One circle going from here to there in 2 seconds. I would urge you guys to use this logic in every single loop of yours at least. Well, the logic isn't complete as yet. The next step is to create my second color. So I'm Command D or Control D duplicates a layer, and I'm going to call it maybe light blue. The way to rename layers is press enter on it, and now, and by pressing U, I can see where my keyframes are. So I'm just going to offset my keyframe by 1 second. So 1 second off, and now the light blue is still red in color, as you can see. When I have this clicked, I can still see. So I got to go there and select light blue, and now you can see that it's, does that make sense so far? So next step is to duplicate this again, maybe call this dark blue. Again, I select the dark blue color, press U, offset it by 1 second, and again, now I want to call this one cream, press U, offset it by 1 second, and I need to select the color cream. So let's see what I have. Red circle, light blue, dark blue, cream. Now this is this technically, even though I have 4 circles, it's not a loop, because the first, while this is happening, I should be seeing my last, or what's there right before this, right? There should be a circle that's this big, and it's not happening. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first and my second layer and duplicate that, Command D, pull it up, press U, and put it again behind. So this is what it would be like if it were a loop. So now we have, so now this section is my loop. The first frame where there's no transparency. You see there's transparency here. The first frame in which it will be the exact as my last frame here. So this is my first loop. Right? Except that I need to have I need this to be right in my first frame. So the way to do that is to select all and just drag your frames until you line it up. Boom. Perfect. This is the perfect loop. So now when I go back to my main comp, my 4-second, I have the first building block of loop. Moving on, my second, I want this one to based on, yeah, I'm just going to follow my pattern reference just for a reference. I'm not going to stick too closely to it. So the second one, I'm going to pre-comp Command-Shift-C, leave all attributes. That's fine. Let's change the icon color, change it back to red, double click. And I'm just going to delete this because I know I don't need it. New, another. So now I'm going to have an animation with a square that starts from 0 and fills the screen, but it also rotates 90 degrees. So I'm going to use scale and rotation in this one. So first thing I'll do is make a solid called maybe cream, and make comp size is good, so if there's no bleed on the side. For some reason After Effects made it 501 instead of 500, even though the Illustrator layer is 500 pixels. Anyway, so we're just going to keep it to that. And like we did earlier, I'm just going to prep my layer up, my composition up, make a 4-second. Press N, zoom in and pull it into, right? I do not want to play my 4th second. So here we have cream. I'm going to paste the color palette. It's just on my clipboard, right? So I don't need to keep copy pasting, it's still there. And I'm going to add the fill effect as a quick way to color stuff. So I've called this layer cream, so I'm just going to select the color cream, and I'm gonna start animating now. The first thing I want to do is scale. So scale is go to my first frame, go to my last frame. Last frame being 2 seconds. Create 2 keyframes. Go to my first frame, make it 0. So it starts from 0 and goes to 100. Perfect. Now the other thing I want to do is to make a rotation to the square. So I press R to bring up rotation, click once, press U to show me my keyframes. So only scale and rotation have keyframes assigned to them. And I want to reach this space exactly. And the easy way to do that is to press this little triangle, go to next keyframe. Go to previous keyframe, go to next keyframe. I'm going to go here directly. It makes me fly there. And then if I do this, I go back there, right? Very useful little shortcut. So having reached here, I want to make another keyframe here for 90 degrees. Type it in. And voila, we have a keyframe. So 0 to 90 rotation and 0 to 100 scale. Very, very simple. So now I do the same thing I did in my earlier one. I start duplicating it, press U. I want to line it up to exactly 1 second off. and I call this maybe dark blue. Just gonna switch the colors around a bit, and there you go. Right? So I'm gonna again offset this, press U. Do you see that? Like it's call this white because I haven't used white as yet. Oh, white. And now I'm going to call this light blue. So there's no red in this one. I'm going to call this light blue and make it light blue. Right. So now I have my 4 layers, except that the beginning is empty. So I take the first 2 frames, Command D, bring it to the top, press U, it shows up my layers, allows me to go to the exact frame here. Right. Now I need to offset them and select all and pull them back in time so that here is the transparency. Yeah. So this is the exact frame in which. So now I have a perfect loop again here. Let's go back to our main comp. What do we have? Great. So the next thing I want to show you guys is how to another effect called clock wipe. So I'm gonna maybe choose another comp here, B2, and precomp that, let it be, and change it back to yellow. Just gonna click in there. Again, you can see there's a bit of a error there. Just gonna delete that. Call it. I'm gonna make a new solid called red. So not red. I'm gonna paste the color palette on it. Drop in the fill effect. Select the red I want, and I have my red layer. Again, same thing. I gotta prep my timeline. This stuff might seem boring, but it will save your life one day the more you use this stuff. Definitely will save mine when I'm looking at your file. Bring it back. So in the effects and presets, if there's a pretty useful effect called clock wipe. Let's use and drag and drop that in. Double click that in. The moment you do that, it kind of it creates keyframes because it knows you want to do a transition. I'm just going to press U to see what it has done. So it starts from 100, puts that on top, and 0, and then I'm going to do the next thing. Just gonna offset it by another light blue, and I'm just gonna offset that again. We call this white. That, call it done. Right. So now, except that I need to have my first frame as my last. I need to have this at the end as well. Then I need to copy all of these guys. again, I have a perfect loop. Right. So that's another effect that I want you guys to try out. It's a bit confusing, as you can see, but be brave and make mistakes for sure. Cool. So moving on, what else can I show you guys? Let's try to get some stroke. Like, let's try to do one of these guys, right? Cool. So maybe take this one and Command Shift C. Leave all attributes. It's in there. Make it back to yellow. Double click. Zoom in. I'm just gonna delete this because there seems to be a bit of a half a pixel problem. So solid. Just call it BG. And I'm gonna paste my color palette. I'm gonna drop in the fill effect. Yeah, there we go. So we have a background square. What I'm just gonna do is quickly make a stroke that kind of goes, and you can move the point after you made it. I want it to be exactly as much as diagonal possible. Now, as you can see, I don't have a stroke here. I have a fill. I'm gonna click on the word fill, click no, and click on the word stroke and say fill. I mean, I want color, right? So there we go. We have our options of color and we have the thickness. So in the class, I told you guys to stick to one thickness. I'm gonna maybe, I did 10 pixels earlier just to show you guys. I'm gonna show you a 50 pixel. So now I'm gonna call this line 1 and I'm gonna place it. It's right in there. So again, I prep my layer up, my timeline up. Press N, pull it back 1 frame. There you go. So first thing I'm going to do is press R to bring up my rotation. Click 1 keyframe here. Go to my the first frame of my next loop, which is the frame, like 4th second, and click another keyframe here. And when you rotate, you can do 360, or you can just do 1 on the left, 1x. So I'm just going to do 360. So what that it makes it a loop. So perfect loop. If I didn't do that, if I did it in my second last frame, watch what happens right now. It happens too fast for you to notice, but it's not a perfect loop. Cool. So having made line 1, I'm going to duplicate that. Command U, and I go to my second. And instead of 1, I do 2. So I wanted to rotate 2 times in 4 seconds. It's a bit like the Confederate flag, no? Shit. Let's change that. So for my background, I'm going to start animating the fill color. So this is another thing. How do you animate this fill effect? So now that I'm happy with my lines, I'm going to focus on the background again. So this color swatch here has a stopwatch next to it, which means I can animate it. So I'm just going to click it over here. Click on the layer here and press U, and it opens up my keyframe here. Go to my 1 second mark. I'm going to select either from here or from here the second color. I'm going to go to my 2 second mark, select my third color, my 3 second mark, select Which one? Which one do I need to be? White. And I go to my fourth color, and I can just copy paste the value. So what does that give us? This very gentle gradient from one color to the next color to the next color, which I don't want. I want it to be a very hard cut, and the way to do that is to toggle hold keyframe. So you're saying like go jump from here to there to there. Don't slide from here to there. So select all the keyframes, right click, toggle hold keyframe. And that changes the icon as well as the way it kind of cuts. So now when I right? So there is another little trick there. So let's see where we are right now on the outside. Okay, moving on. I want to show you guys another little trick, another little way of animating is I'm gonna pre-comp my C1, leave all attributes, made it again, double click. Again, I can see a little bit of transparency there, so I'm gonna delete this. Maybe yeah, just start off with the shape. I want to have chevrons. I want to have like a chevron shape. So I'm just gonna start. You don't need to be too precise right now. We can still edit stuff at a later stage. Now, what I do want is fill and not stroke. So I gotta click my fill, say yes, I want a solid, go to stroke, say I don't want a stroke. Yeah, so that's for starters. I need to make sure I have that much. And the way to be able to select your, so I've made a shape using the pen tool here. Now, if I double click on it, you can get these kind of, you can edit the shape a little easier. Takes a little bit of playing around to get the hang of it. So I would urge you guys to play around. If you twirl down the triangle here, you get this contents shape. Twirl it down and the path. This is what you're actually altering here, the path. So anyway, for now we're just gonna call this one say red, even though it's not red. So paste color palette. Okay, first we need to prep our timeline. So 1, 2, N, get in. So let's see, what do I want my animation to do? I want my animation to, oh, what is this effect? There's an effect here. I have a fill effect here. I don't want this fill. I just want it to animate it. Yeah. I'm just going to copy my color palette, paste it here, down. Yeah, so the first thing I want to do is, so when you design your loops, just try to make sure you don't have any chance of it not looping. What does that mean? So P, I'm gonna put it outside the frame so that there's nothing here. Go back to 2 frames and move it such that it's absolutely out of frame. No, yeah, correct. So as long as I have that, it will loop properly. So I'm going to offset this again, call this light blue. Select the light blue color. Oh, what just happened? I selected gray. And press U, offset it by a second. So you can see how this is working. Call the screen. U. And select color cream. Here. Command D. And I want to make this the next one maybe white. Offset this by. Now because so firstly I need to have a background that is blue, the dark blue. So BG. I can just select this one because I'm not going to animate the color. Put it at the bottom, and here we have our blue. Except that I need some more frames at the end. I need there to be something ready at the beginning. So maybe in this one I could show you guys how to do it the other way. I'll take the last layer and I put it in the front. So Command D, bring it, press U, and line these two keyframes up. So now it's the same thing as copying the first two and then moving in. So we have again a perfect frame here, perfect loop. Going back to our main composition. What's that? Nice. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty happy with how this is shaping up. We've got five. We got 5 animated. Let me maybe make one here. So C4. Let me animate that. Command Shift C. Leave that in. Evolve. Make that aqua again. And this one I want to try something more irregular. I don't want it to be so geometric. I want to try something a little more playful. So I am going to I can take maybe a star. No, I'm gonna use a pen tool and start creating some shapes. So the first thing, deselect and just that gives me something to play with. I have these, where I press V, it allows me to just gonna change it to something a little more. So that's one shape. Let's see, what do I want to do? Okay, so I'm just making this up as I go along, right? So, my bad. Let me call this red. Sorry. Red. And paste this color palette. Paste the fill effect. Copy the red that I want. So here I'm going to press the Y. Y is change anchor point, so it allows me to change it for manually, right? So it's this icon over here. The shortcut is Y. So what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to create a loop that's there from the 1st second to the 4th second. And what I will do then is change the colors and the positioning. So what I want this guy to do, the red thing, is to maybe position, go here, off. I want the rotation to change as well. So rotation, I'll make a keyframe, press U, and change it by a little bit. So let's see what we have here. Maybe I want it to rotate a little bit more so it's more visible, right? Nice. And I don't want it to go out of frame for too long. And in another one, I'll change the scale as well. So maybe S, make one keyframe, press U. You can see. Scale it down a bit so you can see that. Bring it up. So this is what's happening with the red, right? Now what I want to do is basically use the same thing. Command D, press U, and instead of red I want to make it cream. Call this cream. Now I'm going to switch my red layer off. Just have this cream. Now if I double click it, it allows me to change my anchor points. I mean my shapes. So I'm going to start messing with my shape. So I'm just reusing the animation I've made, but like I'm just, looks like a jumping star. And I maybe want to change position as well. So there. Again, I want to change the amount of rotation as well. So, and I want it to become huge instead of small. So this is doing this. And I have my red layer switched off. So now when I put it back on, now we'll see how these guys are working together, right? Now the next thing I want to do is repeat that, Command U, we call it light blue, and except that I don't want it to be there, I want it to be somewhere here. Change my not a very nice looking shape, but just get the hint. You get the gist, right? So I'm just gonna do that, and then instead of there, I want it to be there. Now it's very important to kind of make it all go off screen, and I'll tell you guys why, because we're now going to offset these guys, right? So, well, maybe not there. I want it to be more. We want to start from the lower side and yeah. So if I can see that all of them are leaving the frame at the end, and let me do one more thing. Let me make white, and instead of and where this is, I mean, so if I solo this layer, I can select white, like a circle. Now if I go into this, into the shape, the contents, there's an ellipse and a shape. I'm going to delete my shape, so I only have this circle that I just made, and I'm going to select white. So now when I turn it off, I have this. Press U, I go to the top, and so I want my beginning to be here, I want my end to be here. So let's see what happens. Now for my for this to be, this is a perfect loop, but it's not very interesting because there's one frame in which there's nothing on the screen. So I want to offset these guys. I want to put them in such a way that there's always something on screen, right? So the way to do that, I'm just going to show you, is to go into, if you just take the white, I want it to have, okay, so we'll use this as the first one. So let this be the first as is. So for the second one, I'm going to offset this by 1 second. But I need to add this bit into the front. So how to do that? I'm going to Command D, press U, and do that. So now there is a bit of the light blue at the beginning. The loop ends, and again it begins from here. Right? So you guys understand this logic? It's always something on screen. So now with the cream one, I go to 2 seconds and I'm like, okay, I want it to be 1 second again here, halfway through. I duplicate it, press U, and I take it back so that the first and last frame kind of merge. So this is where stuff gets really interesting, right? So now I hope you guys do a lot of this stuff in your loops. I'm going to put the red one off by 3 seconds, duplicate the layer, press U, and again. So now I have I'm just going to see my whole, this crazy stuff. Let's see what happens. So now it looks like a mess, but look at what happens. It's a perfect loop. Right? How about that? Nice. So there you go, your one little Matisse loop. You guys seen Matisse? Cool, so that's happening there. And I need to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I need 2 more. I'm just going to take maybe D2. Command Shift C. And leave that there. Make it back to pink. Zoom in, you can see the problems. I'm just going to delete this. Make a new BG. Let it be blue. Or maybe not. I'm going to make it light blue. Yeah. And let's see, like I want to make a circle. So again, I just click on it somewhere. Unfortunately, the anchor point is off. The anchor point is always made in the center of the composition, but you might not be able, like, you know, wherever you draw the circles, wherever you draw the circles. So you need to change the anchor point after that. Center anchor point in the content. What can we do over here? So let's say let me 250, put it in the middle, and yeah, so we do that. And every time I'm gonna have this bounce around this thing. Every time it does that, I'm gonna change the color of the ball, right? So I'm gonna make my comp again, fill it up. Okay, so I have position. I'm just gonna go to my first second. Where do I want to be? I want to be 255 here. Second, I want to be. I'm gonna copy this here, but I need this. Now, do you see how that Bezier has become like a not so nice? It's kind of curved. It's created a curve. It presumes I want to curve my path, but I don't. I'm gonna copy this. So I'm gonna move it here. And copy my first keyframe. So this is what it thinks I want, but I don't want it. I don't want it to do this weird kind of bouncy thing. I want it to be sharp, right? So the way to do that is you go to your pen tool and you go to convert vertex and you click this, click this, click this, click this, and it removes the Bezier handles. So now I have a very precise bounce, 90 degree. There you go. So I wanted to change my, I could either change my background every time. I think I'll change my background, that'll be more interesting. So first thing I need to copy is my, these, so I call this ball, paste the effects, and I want my ball to be white, right? So I need to animate my background. So way to do that is to touch the color stopwatch here, boom, go to this BG layer, press U, go to 1 second here, okay, you can go there like this, boom, 1 second, select red, go to the next one, select dark blue, go to the next one, select green, and go to the next one, select the first color. So since I know I don't want this gradient ramp like that, I just toggle hold keyframe, and it's so down, 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 right? So now we have some, it's getting more and more interesting. There's different things happening. Cool, and now I have one more circle, one more square I need to precomp. Command Shift C, leave all attributes, leave there. What should I do with this guy? Let's see. First thing, delete this so that there's no error. Use solid. It could be G. I don't know right now what my plan is, but oh, sorry, I need to copy the. Oh, for some reason it copied the keyframe. I'm just gonna, yeah. So starting point, I have a square. I'm just gonna put that in there. The markers. And cool. So let me try something with squares now. I want to make. In my earlier thing, in my reference, I have this one thing that I quite like, and I want to do some stuff with that. So let's see what we can do with this kind of 2 square thing. So I'm just going to duplicate this BG and call it a square. And let's see, let me scale it. Let me make this dark blue and scale it down to 50%. Now I have this here. If I go to position, 250.5, 250.5, just gonna maybe here, 125.5, and that's not so nice. Yeah. I'm gonna duplicate that. Boom, you start seeing a thing there. So we have something like this. What can we do with that? What if we could make this animate. Okay, so a grid within a grid. So let's see. Sorry for my indecision. I'm making this stuff as we go along. So I'm just gonna make this go from, both of them go from 0 to 50. So 1. Maybe I can offset these guys. Take them up. But when I come here, I want it to be over here. And this I want it to be here. I'm just gonna duplicate these, put them right at the beginning, so that line these guys up. Let's see what we have. Oh, that's not a loop. Isn't that funny? I need to put this as well. What should I do? Let me see. I have these guys. So here I'm just going to put this. I wonder what this does for us. Maybe I need to reduce my colors. So, okay, we can solve this situation. So if we start by saying that I want only cream and light blue, so this becomes, and this is here. So this is how it is, guys. You don't always know what how something's gonna end up, right? So let me just delete my unnecessary. Let me figure it out. So these are line it all back up. So if this is one thing. Just gonna offset these guys here. except right now what is blue needs to be green. And what is green needs to be blue. I have much better feelings about it. So what did I do? No, I need to make it blue. I have a much better feeling of wait, what's going on here. Right. So now if I delete my background, I begin to have, I just need to have this duplicated and brought here. So now when I do that, something, one thing is one frame off. Right. So Monday, bring it in. So what I will do right now, just to make sure that I cover my tracks, and make a background that is one of these two colors so that it doesn't pop out. Yeah, and there we go. There we don't have a problem anymore. So now when we look at our, we got our layer off. So this is where we need to be at the end of our exercise. I'm quite happy with this. There's a lot more we could have done, but just for now, there's no end to how much we could tweak it and better it. For now, this works for our purposes. So what I want to do next is to render it out, and there's two ways to do that. There's one is via the render queue, which is internal to After Effects, and the other one is via Media Encoder, which is an external application. So for now, I'm just going to do it within After Effects. So go to Composition, Add to Render Queue, and what that does is it sends the composition that you were on to render out. So when there's a few options, this is the type of, there's different things which you can set here. So the first thing, when I click on Best Settings, and it opens up some options: Quality Best, Resolution Full. You could do half, third, quarter. So I'm gonna do full. Field render. You don't need to worry about this stuff now. Work area only is very important, but you don't want a 1 minute. Composite. You want 4 seconds. So only work area. And OK. And the output module, you want to go to. There's different. This is the different compression kind of format options. So I'm going to click on this and drop down. Animation is very good. It's very uncompressed. It's very good for stuff, but I don't need it to be so high res. So I'm just going to go down to H264. Don't worry about all of this stuff. Just click OK for now. You can turn your audio off if you don't need audio. You can also resize it here, but we're good for now. So click OK. Now output 2 is you need to output a certain destination. So I'm just going to go back to my renders, and I did some stuff before, so I'm just going to follow my convention. Section, exercise number, my roll number, grid animation, and I'm just going to call this V2. Grid animation V2, right? And I'm going to press save. It hasn't rendered it as yet. It's just set it up. And now when I press render, boom, it commits to the render. And this beautiful sound will come when you're done. So I'm just going to open up my Finder, my projects, renders. Let's open this up. 7.2 MB, 2000 by 2000, duration 4 seconds. Here we are. This is what it just rendered out. I'm going to go to view and loop. This is what it's all about, guys. This is what it's all about. This is where you guys need to be at the end of this week. Perfect loops. 8 out of 16 squares need to have perfect loops in them. And I want you guys to try out different things like circle, square, shapes. I want you guys to try out stroke. I want you guys to try out the clock wipe effect. I want you to try the pen tool for geometric shapes. I want you to try out the pen tool for not geometric or sometimes irregular shapes. Just try a bunch of stuff out, and we will continue this next week. Next week, what we'll do is animate these we'll animate these A1, A2, A3 around the grid. So these guys will kind of move around a bit. So till then, all the best. I hope you guys make lots of mistakes and get stuck lots of times. That's what it's all about. So all the best.